Hello and welcome back to Time News. Yesterday, a lot of news came out. For example, a newspaper called The Washington Post finally revealed that Putin's country contacted Donald Trump. The Washington Post reported on the contents of this call, saying that they've confirmed information that hadn't been disclosed before. Apparently, this entire call's content was reported by The Washington Post. So, what happened in the first call between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump? And why did Putin take this long to congratulate Trump? It seems a bit strange, considering Putin should have been one of the first leaders to call and congratulate Trump. This is because Trump had promised that as soon as he took office, he would end the war between Russia and Ukraine. So why did Putin wait all this time? That's an important question. The second point, which makes sense to me, is that this call came after the call from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was the first to congratulate Trump as soon as he won the election. Zelensky said to him, "Look, Mr. President, our wish has come true. You're in office now, and I can't wait for what's next." But Zelensky faced two shocking surprises during that call, surprises he'll never forget. They were two big shocks for any leader talking to another. The Western media is in a state of shock over Trump's handling of his call with Zelensky, but they're keeping some details hidden. Today, you're going to hear about these details for the first time. And there's a key figure involved today, someone very influential and powerful since Trump's first term. I've been waiting a long time to see this person back in action because things haven't been the same since Trump left. So, I'm waiting for this person to return alongside Trump to see how things will change and what big developments will unfold. But of course, for me to tell you all this, reveal who this person is, and uncover what happened behind the scenes, which you may be hearing for the first time about the calls between Zelensky, Putin, and Trump, I need to start the story from the beginning. Let's get straight to the point. What are the new information we have today might be different for you, and it's probably the first time you're hearing about the calls between Putin, Volodymyr Zelensky, and Trump. Where should we start? I'm very interested in starting with Zelensky's call. Zelensky spoke to Trump and said, "Mr. President, I've been waiting for you for a long time, and honestly, I'm very happy that you won the election." Zelensky said he had been waiting for this moment eagerly, and this call had aspects that the media didn't cover. For example, Zelensky was one of the first presidents to congratulate Trump, so logically, Trump should have shown significant appreciation. After all, if someone congratulates Trump, he won't ignore it, right? So, there should have been attention on this, but there wasn't, and I'll tell you why. Trump was treating Zelensky dismissively and spoke to him as if he couldn't care less. Secondly, this call wasn't even from the White House. Zelensky had rushed to congratulate Trump, and Trump received this call from his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, where he was sitting in his office. You might ask, how do we know this? Well, the Washington Post and the New York Times revealed a critical secret. Trump wasn't talking to Zelensky in the right way. He told Zelensky, "Listen, don't think I'm like Joe Biden who says one thing during the campaign and changes completely once he enters the White House." Biden, for instance, had promised during his campaign to isolate Saudi Arabia, shake up the Middle East, and restore the nuclear deal with Iran, but none of that happened once he took office. When Biden entered the White House, he realized he was in over his head. Trump, on the other hand, told Zelensky, "Every word I said before the election, I'm going to deliver on once I enter the White House." That was the first shock. The second shock was that, while Trump was talking, imagine, two presidents talking to each other, Trump was speaking to someone else at the same time. Someone was having a side conversation with him during his call with Zelensky. While Trump was supposedly receiving Zelensky's message, he was chatting with someone else. The fact that Trump wasn't focused on Zelensky was clear because that person sitting next to Trump told him, "Mr. President, remind him of the satellites he has and how they're influencing the Russia-Ukraine war." Now, who was that person? How could someone sit in Trump's office at his Florida resort and talk to him during a presidential call? That person was Elon Musk, the American billionaire whose role with Trump is still a mystery to the American media. All they know is that Musk's fortune has reached $300 billion since Trump's election win. That's what they know. But having Musk sit next to Trump during a presidential call with Zelensky, that's new. And among the things the media still can't understand is why Elon Musk has such significant influence, sitting next to Trump in Mar-a-Lago, during an official call. The British newspaper The Independent suggested that Elon Musk is, in a way, the First Lady of the White House right now. Think about it, you have Melania Trump, whom I admire a lot, a former model with Slovak roots, who made waves from the time Trump left the White House. However, Melania has been noticeably absent from the election scene and isn't playing a visible role in Trump's life even after his win. They said that Musk is taking on her role at the moment, as evidenced by a recent photo showing Musk with Trump's children. So, Musk is effectively acting as the First Lady, Trump's partner in this new phase. Now, about the satellite network that Musk was hinting at, those are the SpaceX satellites. Musk's SpaceX satellites are playing a critical role in the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine lacks reliable internet networks, and these networks are essential because the Ukrainian army uses them to guide missiles, drones, and communications. The Russians haven't been able to disrupt these networks, they're trying to jam them and even develop powerful jamming devices to counter them, but fully shutting down SpaceX has proven impossible. Now, Trump was saying, remind him of the satellites. You might say, what's the big deal? But here's where things get interesting. The scandal is that Trump wasn't just talking to Musk as a side conversation, he actually said to Zelensky, "Hold on, there's someone here who wants to talk to you." And then Trump put Musk on the call with Zelensky and left the conversation. When Musk joined the call, he spoke to a sitting president without any official title or clear reason for involvement, yet there he was, talking to President Zelensky. What's strange is that Zelensky didn't hang up or push back on this treatment. He didn't cut off the call or say, "This is inappropriate." Instead, he just went along with it as if nothing happened. These behind-the-scenes details may be new to you because our media hasn't covered how Trump humiliated Zelensky in their first call. The second point, after the two shocks Zelensky faced, is that finally, Vladimir Putin called Trump. The entire media was on edge, watching this closely. The thing is, right after Trump won the election, Putin didn't call him. Meanwhile, Trump received calls from more than 70 world leaders, presidents and kings, but not from Putin. Eventually, Trump went on NBC News and said, "Putin still hasn't called me, but I believe he will." See how Trump was clearly waiting for Putin's call, even complaining to the media, saying, "Putin hasn't called me yet." According to the Washington Post, Putin called Trump yesterday, and during the call, Trump was reportedly very firm with Putin. He told him, "Don't escalate the Russia-Ukraine war or threaten European security, I won't allow it." Trump was supposedly tough, saying, "Just as you have weapons, I have weapons too." It was reported that Trump took a very harsh stance. Another site, Axios, commented on this, saying Trump was blunt in his call, warning Putin against escalating the conflict. But this isn't really credible. Why believe these sites? The same sources that reported Trump was tough with Putin also claimed the two of them were actually in cahoots. Yes, Trump and Putin have a plan for handling the Russia-Ukraine issue once Trump takes office. This isn't a new plan, it was supposedly laid out 3 years ago, well before Trump's current run for the presidency. How did Trump craft a plan that Putin would agree to? Apparently, they had a go-between, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. Orban is a close friend of Trump and reportedly visits Trump Tower in Chicago or New York whenever he's in the US, even going to Trump's resort in Florida. Orban is also a NATO member who raises concerns because of his closeness to Putin and strong opposition to Ukraine. He's blocked military aid to Ukraine repeatedly and is eager to see an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Reports suggest that Orban played a role in facilitating communication between Trump and Putin to craft a strategy for the Russia-Ukraine war. Orban, with his connections to both leaders, was instrumental in coordinating this plan. When Trump enters office, a new plan is expected to unfold according to a report by the Mirror. Russia is set to gain control over a portion of Ukrainian territory, with estimates ranging from 20% to 25%. If we assume this to be the case, it covers the 4 regions Russia has aimed to take since the start of its invasion: Donetsk, Luhansk, Donbass, Zaporizhia, and Crimea. Russia will secure control over these areas. In return, Russia will halt its military operations in Ukraine and commit to ending the conflict. On the other side, Ukraine would agree to delay its NATO membership for 20 years and refrain from any further alliance moves toward NATO. Security for Ukraine would then be guaranteed by Trump, who would continue providing arms and military training to the Ukrainian army. This situation leaves Ukraine in a similar position to before the invasion, when it was also not a NATO member. But Trump is appeasing Putin in several ways. First, the 4 regions Putin wants would come fully under Russian control. Additionally, a buffer zone estimated at 800 miles, around 1,300 kilometers, would separate Russian and Ukrainian forces, effectively preventing any direct military engagement between them. An important detail is that a European country will monitor this buffer zone with its troops conducting regular patrols. You may wonder, what's stopping Russia from violating this arrangement? Here's where Article 5 of NATO comes in. If a European country were to be stationed in the buffer zone, any Russian attack on that country would activate NATO's Article 5, meaning all NATO members would respond to defend the attacked member. This would act as a strong deterrent for Russia against violating the terms of the buffer zone. It's notable that the overseeing country won't be the UK, as Britain is closely aligned with Ukraine and could potentially conspire with Ukraine against Russia. The country chosen will likely have a balanced relationship between Russia and Ukraine, perhaps not a major power like the UK, France, or Germany. Italy, under Giorgia Meloni's leadership, could be a candidate, as it has a moderate stance, or possibly Turkey, which has maintained good relations with both sides and previously sought a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. In any case, a European army in the buffer zone would play a vital role in ensuring peace is upheld in the region. I think the most crucial part of this whole situation isn't just about Russia gaining territory or achieving peace in Ukraine. The most significant aspect is the lifting of sanctions on Russia. Think about it, Russia isn't just going to settle for land, they will likely demand the removal of sanctions. And Trump wants to make all this happen because he believes that the sanctions imposed on Russia have caused more problems for Europe and the United States. He sees these sanctions as unreasonable and unproductive, and he views the Ukraine war as a drain on the American economy. The US has sent an enormous amount of aid, over $70 billion, in less than 3 years to Ukraine. This is incredibly alarming, and that's only the aid that's been publicly disclosed. Now, a critical question remains: if both sides are indeed aligned, why didn't Putin reach out to Trump immediately after he won the election? The answer is actually quite simple. First, Putin doesn't want to be directly linked to Trump. There have been a lot of rumors suggesting that Russia interfered in the last US election to help Trump win. Putin wants to make it clear that he had nothing to do with this election and wasn't waiting for Trump to win. Secondly, Putin wants to project strength, as if he doesn't need Trump to bring peace in Ukraine. He's essentially saying, if America wants to end the war, let's see what they're willing to offer. Thirdly, even if there's an agreed-upon plan, it's important to realize that all parties will still come together to negotiate. An agreed-upon plan will still require negotiation because things change in real time and critical last-minute details need to be addressed. Putin wants to appear composed and powerful, projecting that he's not in a rush. The second point, which is very important to understand, relates to Putin's call with Trump. According to the Washington Post, they reported that Putin and Trump spoke sternly and firmly, as Access stated. However, the specifics of that call are crucial. The Washington Post didn't disclose everything, but Putin himself revealed details according to Business Insider. Before making the call, Putin had his annual meeting with the media, where he reviews the results of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia's situation, and more, for around 3 hours. This time, Putin's meeting with the media focused on Trump's victory in the elections. Putin highlighted 7 key points, which he intended to discuss with Trump. First, Putin indicated he would call Trump soon, responding to media questions about why he hadn't reached out yet. Putin praised Trump, calling him a man with a strong character, noting that they both oppose certain social agendas like LGBTQ+ rights and gender reassignment, issues that helped Trump win the election. Putin himself opposes such matters, so he found common ground with Trump on this front. Putin also praised Trump for his calm handling of an assassination attempt, describing him as brave and resilient. Furthermore, during the Sochi Forum in Russia, Putin expressed his readiness to speak with Trump about any ideas for ending the Ukraine crisis, noting his admiration for how Trump handled the aftermath of the assassination attempt in July, calling him a courageous man. When asked what his stance on the Russia-Ukraine war would be in discussions with Trump, Putin stated that his primary goal was for Ukraine to become neutral. By neutral, he meant that Ukraine wouldn't join NATO, wouldn't possess weapons, and would remain like Austria, without an army or military presence. Putin also stressed that Russia would maintain control over the territories it occupied, making it clear he wouldn't withdraw. Putin emphasized that any American president, including Trump, should acknowledge that the world is now multipolar and that the US no longer holds sole dominance. He pointed to the rise of powers like Russia and China as evidence of this shift. However, Trump, with his Make America Great Again (MAGA) movement, stands firmly against the idea of multiple poles of power and believes America should lead the world. Regarding BRICS, Putin has long supported it as a counterbalance to Western power, but Trump is expected to oppose it vehemently. Trump might even push BRICS member nations to limit their involvement or withdraw entirely, especially by discouraging trade outside the US dollar. Trump had previously warned that any nation using a currency other than the dollar could face unprecedented sanctions. Moreover, Putin supports China's claim over Taiwan, believing in a unified China, which could lead to disagreements with Trump. Trump views China as America's greatest rival, more so than Russia. One of Trump's motives for ending the Russia-Ukraine war is to prevent a close Russia-China alliance. Trump believes China should remain isolated, and he's likely to wage an economic war against China that hasn't been seen before. He may also target Chinese electric car manufacturers in favor of American companies like Elon Musk's. In summary, the Trump-Putin call wasn't as trivial as the Washington Post portrayed. It wasn't just about Trump scolding Putin, it was more complex. The media sometimes hides certain details to portray a particular power as stronger than it might be. The reality is that Russia has borne immense costs in the Ukraine war, so it's unlikely to accept simple compromises. War is harsh, and Russia has paid a significant price, making it reluctant to settle for easy solutions. And that wraps up today's deep dive. We've looked at some complex dynamics that could shape the future of global politics. But what do you think? Do you believe a potential Trump-Putin alliance could truly bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or are the challenges just too great? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.